The AEC industry is on the edge of a software revolution. There's a new wave of startups reshaping the future of the tools that you'll use every day. So let's dive into BIM 2.0 and the next generation of AEC software. What's up guys, and welcome back to the ATN channel. It's been a while since I made these kind of videos, and honestly I've missed it a little bit, but now with our new studio setup that you see, I'm pushing myself to bring you more videos like these, particularly over the summer. So today we're talking all about BIM 2.0 and this new wave of AEC tools that are hitting the scene. So if you haven't noticed, there's a small revolution underway. Startups are building the future of AEC software right now. We recently brought them together in one of our Pecha in the Pub nights to share what they're working on and give us a little bit of a sneak peek on also what's coming next. Some of these teams are creating full stack BIM platforms. Others are kind of more focused on solving specific pain points like floor plan layout, optimization, or early feasibility studies. So in this video, I'm going to break down the 9 firms that presented, share my thoughts on each one, and highlight some of the trends I'm seeing in the industry. So let's jump into it. So first off, let's kind of give it a bit of a background. Why do we need BIM 2.0 and what is BIM 2.0? First, let's talk about why people are building these BIM 2.0 platforms. About 20 years ago, architecture was deep in the CAD era, drawings, 2D lines in a black screen. And this gave architects this massive productivity boost, replacing hand-drawing plans with digital drafting. Then came the 2000s and the rise of BIM tools like Revit, which shifted the process from drawing to 3D modeling. Essentially, we took CAD in 3D. Instead of drawing line by line, you modeled the buildings and generated your plan, section, elevations automatically from the model. But here's the problem. Revit was cutting edge at the time, but after Autodesk acquired it, the innovation seemed to really slow, particularly in the modern day era. Even today, Revit is still the dominant BIM tool, but the pace of development has lagged, whilst subscription costs keep rising significantly. By 2020 and 2021, major firms were openly frustrated, publishing letters to Autodesk demanding faster progress and better value. And with that frustration sparked something bigger. And now some of those people behind those calls for change are the ones building this next generation of AEC software, otherwise known as BIM 2.0. The other key thing to understand is that AEC software today is highly fragmented. Even as architects, we jump between Rhino, Revit, Enscape, Grasshopper, Ladybug, all these different programs. Meanwhile, if you go to other industries, like the product design world, they often work inside one integrated platform, from design all the way to even manufacturing and exporting CAD information. And that's why people are stepping up to build BIM 2.0. So now that you know a little bit about the context and what BIM 2.0 is, let's jump into the 9 companies that we featured at our Pecha event. I'm going to talk about each one very briefly. Essentially, I've grouped them into 2 categories or a spectrum. Broad BIM 2.0, which is essentially they're trying to create a full stack platform, to other ones which are a bit more what I call narrow BIM. The narrow ones are focusing on something specific like floor plan generation or feasibility studies. So we're kicking things off with the more broad BIM platforms, and we're starting with number 1, Snaptrude. So Snaptrude was founded in 2017. It's backed by VC funders like Fundamental, which we had on the podcast. In simplest terms, Snaptrude is trying to blend the world of SketchUp with BIM. Like many of these new platforms, it's cloud-based and collaborative, so multiple people can work in the same model at the same time. It offers this kind of quick, intuitive push-pull style modeling, again, quite similar to SketchUp. I'm guessing that's where they get the name Snaptrude from. They've also focused on this feasibility stage tool, so you can quickly model massing, assign programs, pull out diagrams, area tables, plans, and generate the basic site feasibility report. Early on, I remember seeing some interesting parametric block features with Snaptrude, which I think they've continued. Visually, they lean a bit more towards the SketchUp aesthetic, which to be honest, I'm not a big fan of. I think most architects appreciate that kind of clean, crisp look you get from Rhino or even the Revit actual drawing production. They're still in the early stages and are definitely one of the front runners right now. I know they've got some exciting new features coming up this summer, so for sure, stay tuned for that. Number 2 on the list, we got Arcol. So Arcol got set up in 2021, also with a bit of VC backing. Unfortunately, Arcol had to cancel on us last minute, so I didn't get to hear much from them directly, but I'm including them on the list because they seem quite close to Snaptrude, that they're also cloud-based, collaborative, real-time modeling. They also have a strong focus in this early feasibility tool, so making massing, assigning programs, generating reports, putting it on views and sheets so you get that initial report really quickly. They've also gone down the more SketchUp style graphic route, maybe with a bit of diagram aesthetic thrown in by Big. The UI also looks really nice. Views on one side, metrics on the other. This kind of black style is super sleek, so I am quite impressed with the UI. From what I understand, their modeling capabilities are maybe a bit more limited compared to Snaptrude, but they're still a major player in this new race and definitely one to watch for the future. Number 3 in our list is Giraffe. Giraffe is another competitor focused on this kind of feasibility stage. They're a smaller startup based in Australia. I couldn't find the exact details, but I believe they've raised some small startup funding, so I think they're kind of early in that stage of funding. Their approach is similar to Snaptrude and Arcol as well. It's cloud-based, collaborative, and designed to go from site to feasibility report in a very short time. Rob, the founder, was kind enough to record a presentation for us since it was like 2 a.m. when we were presenting in London, and showed us how to go from a site setup to a full report in just 6 minutes and 40 seconds, which was pretty impressive. Graphically, I really like their style actually. It's fun, playful. Again, a little bit of SketchUp, but more heavily influenced by Rhino's Arctic mode diagram style. And I have to say, I do quite like the playfulness of it. Rob showed these trees and people that you put in. Definitely gave me that big diagram vibe, which really stood out. I keep seeing interesting updates on LinkedIn from these guys, so definitely one to keep watching. Number 4 is Motif. So Motif are the new kid on the block. They founded in 2023. They've raised some serious funding from Silicon Valley, and more recently they've kind of exploded and announced onto the scene. It's a little bit tricky to judge Motif at this stage because they're really just getting started. Their first product is what I would call a starter tool. It's essentially a mix of BIM viewer with Miro board style functionality. So you can import your existing BIM models, create views, make sheets, and review models collaboratively as a team in the cloud. I really see this as a stepping stone as they work towards adding way more functionality, but honestly it's quite impressive they've launched a product so quickly and getting feedback from the actual users. I think what's really interesting about Motif really is the team. So the team driving it are mostly ex-Autodesk folks who are part of the core Revit team. Also people like my old big colleague Jens Karlsson, and we also had Greg Demchak present at Pechakucha. He's also a veteran of this space. He was part of that early Revit team. He later joined Bentley. He's been involved in several successful startups in the AEC space. So Motif is definitely one to keep an eye out, and you'll be seeing more collaboration between them and ATN soon. Next on the list, we've got Qonic. And so this is kind of rounding out the broad platforms. We have Qonic. So they're based in Belgium. They actually claim not to be a startup. I think they're built from a larger group or company, I'm not sure, but they've been around for about 3 years. And they've built some really impressive stuff, I have to say. What's rare here is they've been entirely self-funded so far, which is pretty unusual for a platform of this scale. It takes a lot of money to build BIM 2.0 platforms. Unlike others, also Qonic hasn't focused on feasibility. They're really focusing on creating a modeling engine and core functionality. So their one-liner is from the smallest screw to city scale models. And they claim you can load up any size model in under 60 seconds, which is pretty wild. Graphically, they look really clean, intuitive, and I was really impressed by their approach, like building a great modeling platform first and then expanding outwards, whether it's feasibility or detailed design stages. They also do seem to be focused more on the later design stages than earlier feasibility stuff. Definitely one to watch closely in the future. I'm quite excited about Qonic. So now we move to the more narrow BIM platforms where they're focusing on something specific, and we've got the first one, which is called Spacio.ai. So Spacio is a startup from Sweden, founded in 2022. I think they're still pretty fresh on the scene. They also are in this kind of world of feasibility stage, a bit like the Arcols and the Snaptrudes, where you can find a site, generate a massing, even play with facade options, and then you kind of import it back into your main software like Rhino or Revit. I've actually tried Spacio myself. and it was pretty impressive. You can generate something quite quickly on a site, explore various options. The designs that they come up with are also not bad at all. You know, it's quite nice little designs. And what's really cool is you can still manually adjust these things. So it's not like a fixed thing. You can put these bespoke touches to a project. What's potentially really interesting about Spacio is they can actually understand local building regs and zonings and use AI to run these kind of compliance checks. Finally, my dream of the architect's Mr. Clippy is coming true. I also have to give them credit on the graphics and UI side. It is a beautifully designed platform, clean, sharp visuals. I think this one is a great example of what I think architects would really like, away from that kind of SketchUp cartoony vibe. You can also test it out right now, and it's definitely one worth exploring. Next up, we have Finch, also from Sweden. I don't know what they're cooking over there, but there's an AI revolution there. Finch was founded in 2019 by Pamela and Jesper Walgreen. So you might have seen a Finch video pop up years ago when they went viral with the script of this adaptable plan, right? So since then, they've been transforming that idea into a tool for architects to help them generate floor plans. So they're really specific on this thing. So essentially you import your massing or geometry into Finch, and then it uses computational design and AI to quickly turn that into quite detailed floor plans. You can then import the results back into your existing tools like Rhino, Revit in native format. So it'll be a Revit wall and so on. And it even integrates with other tools like Autodesk's new Forma platform. So I really see them as like a platform between all the other platforms. What I like with Finch is the level of customization. So over time, you can kind of train it towards your own style. You can tweak the plans so it's not, again, fixed prescriptive design. Graphically, it's super clean and sharp, both the UI and viewport. Another great example of thoughtful design and UI. We also recorded a podcast with Jesper and Pamela from Finch, and they have a long waiting list for access, but I think soon you should be able to try it out at the end of the summer, if I remember correctly. Definitely another one worth testing if you can get your hands on it, and another one to keep your eye on. Next up, we have Hypar. So Hypar, I feel, was quite an early mover in this space. They were founded in 2018, but I think they kind of went public pretty quickly. They started out as quite a broad platform, quite focused on feasibility. Then they pivoted towards some different aspects like building system configurations. And now they're kind of narrowed in more towards automating layouts. We had Andrew Human present for us. He's been at the forefront of Hypar. He's also the creator of the Human plugin for Grasshopper. He's been a long time veteran of the AEC tech space, so another legend that's working in one of these companies. Today, Hypar is positioned as a broad tool for automating space layouts and planning. So not just resi, but also office, hospitality, healthcare, and more. The new interface feels clean and intuitive. They've been incorporating some interesting experiments with like text to BIM. So Andrew showed some early versions of this like on LinkedIn a few years ago. And now you can see the tool is really refining. Another one I'd recommend to test out and try out. And finally, last but by no means least, we have Speckle and our friends at Speckle. So they founded officially in 2020. Speckle grew out of a PhD project at the Bartlett's by Dimitri, and has since boomed into one of the biggest players in this new era of AEC space. Again, we had these guys on a podcast, so you can hear the story there. But I've saved Speckle for last because they didn't quite fit into my simple broad versus narrow spectrum, right? So at its core, Speckle is an online platform that connects to all your AEC data in one place. So it's often referred to as like an interoperability tool, but it's really just scratching the surface of what it can do. It's not an interoperability tool, so to speak. You can upload models and data from Rhino, Revit, Unreal, and tons of other platforms. You can view the models in the cloud, comment on them, review, and share across your team. Then you can import it back into whatever software you're working in. Where it gets really interesting is once that your data is online, you can use cloud compute to run programs automatically, tasks, and crucially leverage AI. I think one of the biggest barriers to AI in the AEC space is our data is fragmented across all these different formats, like from Revit, the construction guys, the engineering, architecture, and Speckle brings that all into one place, and it makes it an accessible AI readable platform. So personally, I see Speckle as a big player that could connect both the old and new generation of tools and really potentially unlocking the potential of AI in our industry. I think the moment that really clicked for me on Speckle was when I started to understand that is to really leverage AI, you need to have all the data in one place, and it looks like that place could be Speckle. So I really see this as a big AI play, I guess. And also, I have to give them credit, the graphics and UI are super nice, and particularly with these guys, like the upload speeds are insanely fast, the feel of just rotating a model, whether on your phone, your tablet, is really top notch. We've been using it at Facet in the most simple way you could use it as a BIM viewer, just for our phone or iPad to view our complex BIM models directly on site, and it's been really powerful. Okay, so after seeing all these companies, I've tested some, but not all. Here's a few of the key takeaways that I've seen. So first of all, and probably most importantly, don't underestimate how hard it is to build the next BIM platform. So we've had comments like, how is this going to replace Revit or Rhino overnight? And the truth is, no, it won't. These are all brand new tools and they're still in their really early days. They need time to develop. And the thing is, if we're frustrated with the tools we're using today, we need to support the new players, test them, give some feedback, and keep an open mind to where they are now and where they'll be in the next few years. Second, there's some really clear trends emerging already. So first of all, nearly all of these platforms are based in the cloud. So no more heavy software installs. Some people are skeptical about that, but the shift to the collaborative online environment is happening. We're already seeing that with tools like Miro and Figma, so it makes complete sense that that's coming for the AEC space. Number three, there's a heavy focus on feasibility and early stage design. So on paper, this makes sense, right? Feasibility is often one of the least profitable phases for architects. So speeding this area up makes a lot of sense from a business perspective. Here's where I'm a little bit torn. So with plan generators, I can see that working. It's kind of narrow. It simply speeds up your stuff. But the idea of generating massing, assigning a program, spitting out numbers can feel like a bit of an oversimplification. So early stage design is really where architects make their creative mark, where bold, unusual ideas really come to life. So the question for me is, will architects really adopt these tools that may seem to dumb down that creative process? It's a really challenging thing to add automation, but also allow free creativity. Will we see developers start to use these tools to generate these early schemes and then pass them on for architects for refinement? So then we're kind of like stuck with whatever the developer and the tool comes up with. So it's not entirely clear to me yet whether the feasibility focus will pay off. To be fair though, not every building is a Starchitect icon, and these tools could be tackling the 90% of buildings that follow more, standard formulas that we see around us. But still, the focus on feasibility is interesting, but a tricky space. Again, like combining automation with creativity, it's a hard one. On the flip side, the approach of starting with just a solid modeling foundation and building outwards like Qonic is doing, that to me makes a lot of sense. So like, why do we love Rhino? Because it has this incredible modeling engine, or this modeling kernel, NURBS-based modeling. Why do we adopt Revit? Because it kind of nailed the documentation status. Yes, the modeling was a bit clunky, but the parametric families were incredible and the documentation was really strong. I think building on a strong fundamentals just feels like a smart approach, and then building out from there. Another clear indication is AI is coming. You can already see this. All of these tools are integrating AI in some way. It could be small or large, but it's really just the beginning. In this next wave, we're likely to have little AI assistants riding alongside us during the design process, helping us check building regs. And just like that shift from hand drawing to CAD, we might see like smaller teams doing more work thanks to these new tools, and a huge productivity boost for architects. Overall though, I think we're in a really exciting moment. There's this new wave of tools powered by AI, which is driving this next era of AEC software. So my number one recommendation is go and check these companies out. I'm going to put them all in the description below the video. Some you can use today, others you have to be on the wait list, but give them a fair shot. Like really try and test them out. I'm going to try and do that a bit more here on ATN. If we want a better future, we need to support the for people trying to build better tools for us. Finally, drop a comment below. I want to know what you think about this. Have you tested any of these tools? Give us some of your feedback. Where do you think the industry is headed with the AEC space? And let me know if you want to see more videos like this where I'm kind of reviewing stuff, more vlog style. Otherwise though, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.